You're tuned in to Give It a Rest, the podcast, where we're giving tough love truths for the sisterhood. I'm your host, Danielle Bayard Jackson, certified friendship expert and author of the book, Give It a Rest, the Case for Tough Love Friendships. And when it comes to misunderstandings and complications within our female friendships, I am here to help you through it. We're starting the first episode of Give It a Rest with the most requested subject in my DMs, and that is how to make friends as an adult. So especially kind of once you get to the mid-20s, you're going to find that it's a little more difficult and it's not in your head. In fact, research tells us that once you hit your mid-20s, it becomes more difficult because your friendship group expands and expands and expands. And then once you hit like 24, it shrinks significantly. So it's not just you. So I'm going to tell you a couple things that you can do to craft some friendships in your life. But let me start with this. If you think I'm going to give you some revolutionary information that you've never heard before on how to make friends, that's not happening. Because there is no quick hack, there is no shortcut to instantly find your group of like 10 girls with whom you can claim squad goals and then we like all get jealous. That's not a thing. And you're not going to make that happen by this weekend. But I am going to give you 5 attainable tips and mindsets that you can start incorporating to craft new friendships in your life. So the first one is this: go deep, not wide. And by that, I mean, you probably already have some women in your life, right, who are mutual friends or who are best friend adjacent, who'd make really great close friends. So start there. So that girl who you know through a friend who you sometimes see at different events, why not connect with her? And the next time you go to a play or a concert even, finding the courage to text her or call her and say like, hey, I have an extra ticket to this thing. Do you want to come? I thought of you and I thought maybe you could join me. So I know it might seem a little intimidating and random, but the thought behind that is you already have the foundation. You already have mutual friends. You already have some level of history together. So why not start there instead of being so obsessed with starting fresh with somebody new? So go deep instead of going wide, and you'll find that some friendships kind of bloom there. The second tip I can give you for making new friends as an adult is to hit up those interest groups that you see online. Now, before you roll your eyes, you've heard this before, but going to websites like meetup.com and other kinds of interest groups are helpful to get to meet new people. But I'm going to tell you the part that a lot of people sometimes don't tell you, and that is, I think you should go at least 3 times before you call it quits. Because what we'll do is we'll see like some, intramural sport and we're like, okay, that's cool. Or some like pottery class and we're like, okay, I'll go. But if we don't meet people that first time, or if we don't meet our bestie on the first class, then we're quick to dismiss it and be like, this was a waste of time. But the key is repeated exposure, because that's like the number one ingredient to crafting a new friendship. So you have to see people multiple times. So even though time number 1 is going to feel awkward, time number 2, if it was lame, is going to feel like, why did I come back? Time number 3 is when you start to get familiarity with the other women who were there. Also, it kind of gives you some groundwork to chat about. So for example, if the first time you're there, you hear a woman say something about her sick dog, then on the third time you're there, you can say, I feel like you mentioned your dog was sick. How did that turn out? Is he okay? Okay. So cheesy and simple, but those are the kinds of things that connect us. And almost like, if I can give you like a corny metaphor, like creating that Velcro that eventually creates things that you can like stick to, but you have to show up, I guess, multiple times. And then it makes it easier to get to know new people. So the corny interest groups online, go to them, explore them, but don't quit until you've gone 3 times. The third tip is for the first time you meet somebody new and you're trying to take it to the next level. There is a magic phrase that you can use that will instantly make you likable. Are you ready for it? That phrase is, tell me more. Tell me more. If you use that phrase, it encourages people to talk about themselves. And guess what science tells us? What do you think is the number 1 topic people like to talk about? Themselves. So I think there have even been studies that have been done to show us that as people talk about themselves, more and more dopamine is released in their brains. It feels good to be talking about all the cool things that make you you. So why not create opportunities for new people to do that? Ultimately, you kind of want to leave with them saying to themselves, man, she seemed really cool. I don't know what it is about her, but I like her, it's because you let her talk about herself. So when you're kind of asking those probing questions at the beginning, oh, where are you from? This and that, prompt her more, or pause and say, oh, that's interesting. Okay, I have another friend who lives in Detroit. Tell me more about that. Give her a chance to dig in. Now, the reason this could sometimes be troublesome for women is because we're so eager to establish common ground. So we want to say, what? You went to University of Florida? Girl, me too. Go Gators. And then you want to launch into your connection with her. But even though that has good intentions, sometimes it can be a turnoff because unintentionally you turned it back to yourself. So prompt her with phrases like, tell me more. Ask 1 or 2 follow-up questions. This is also sometimes tricky for us extroverts because we like to talk and we like to kind of do our thing, but pause yourself, let her share, and you'll find that it creates a really nice connection. Tip number 4 for making a new friend as an adult is opening your mind to what your new bestie could look like. So let's say you're a creative. You tend to gravitate toward other creatives, and that's fine. That's natural. That's a natural sociological thing, is to want to be with people like you. But what if you're cutting yourself off from an entire group of people because you want them to be just like you? So if you are a creative, you're into the arts, you're a photographer, you're a dancer, why not be open to hanging out with the girl from accounting at your job? Even though your brains might not work the same way, she could end up being hilarious and super supportive, and maybe you watch the same shows on Netflix and you can vibe off of that. So open your mind to what that can look like. She might be 10 years older than you. Have you considered that? And she might end up being one of the closest women in your life. She might be a lot richer than you. And then when you go to brunch, she can pay for it. So, and I'm kidding. You're not gonna, I don't know if she's generous, but what you can do is open your mind to what friendship looks like, and you'll find yourself bonding with people who you otherwise would have missed out on. And the final tip for creating friendships as an adult is 2 words: follow up. Because how many times do we meet somebody at a networking thing or at a work thing and we're like, man, this was really cool. Yeah. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Oh yeah, wait, what was your Instagram? Okay, cool, bye. And then nothing happens. So as uncomfortable as it may be the first couple times that you do it, to suggest to her, you know what, I'd love to grab coffee sometime. What does your next week look like? And lock that down on the spot is the key to creating friendships. And I keep emphasizing the word make friendships, create friendships, because friendships don't just happen. That's the secret nobody's telling you, is you have to put in work, even if it kind of feels unnatural. And if we think about it in other contexts, it makes sense, right? Like when we think about the romantic context, we're thinking, well, of course, if it's just a first date, you don't just leave it at that. You got to follow up. Give him a call, text him, try it again, get on the phone again. But when it comes to friends, we have this false expectation that it should happen instantly. We should feel chemistry with a girl we really like immediately, because that's just what friendship is. And that's actually not true. So holding on to that misconception just might get in the way of you creating new friendships as an adult. A couple of reasons we don't want to follow up is because we say, well, I'm just too busy. Well, we've got to prioritize friendships, right? Because you can't just have your man, your crazy kids, and your job, okay? You need somebody to talk to, somebody to vibe with, to vent to, and support you. So prioritize friendship. Saying that you're busy is simply not an excuse. Sometimes we are afraid of rejection because you might walk away thinking she was kind of cool, but did she feel the same way about you? And I got to tell you, if it's any kind of relief, that 90% of the time she will be happy that you said, hey, do you want to get together? And then follow up can look different ways. So maybe you don't necessarily suggest a hangout, but maybe you send her an Instagram message to say, girl, that TV show that you suggested, okay, I watched episode 1. You're right. It's hilarious. That counts as a follow-up. But anything you can do to extend that first interaction with them is exactly what you want to do to get yourself on the fast track for creating new friends as an adult. So I know it can be intimidating, and I know sometimes it feels a little awkward, and we get out here and we're on our own in our 20s and 30s and we don't know what to do. And it's true. No one really taught us this skill, how to flex this muscle. But just know that you're not out here by yourself trying to make these friendships happen. We all are. And maybe take some relief in knowing that everybody around you wants to make new friends too. It just takes somebody to start stepping up to the plate. That somebody's got to be you. So you can do this. And I'm here rooting for you. go down the hall if you're at work watching this video on your lunch break and talk to somebody in the accounting department, or this weekend make plans with the girl who you've kind of known but didn't want to take it to the next level. Go do all those things and make it happen. And then I want you to come tell me about it. You can find me on Facebook by searching Give It a Rest Podcast After Party. That's where we're hanging out after the show, talking about our experiences, the struggles, the successes, and also where women can suggest new topics for the show. So I'm going there digging to see what you want to hear about next. You can also find us on Instagram at Give It a Rest Movement, and you can find me at Girl Give It a Rest. And if you can't wait till the next episode, there are resources, articles, and even some information about our upcoming events at giveItarestmovement.com. I look forward to seeing you over there.